And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome live from London, Ava Glass, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new red hot book, Alias Emma. Ava, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm just going to hold it up to you. Alias Emma is a espionage novel about a young female spy who is given her first major assignment, which is to bring in the son of a couple of Russian expat spies who've been working with MI6 and who the Russians are targeting for assassination. They live in London, and she has to, but he doesn't want to come in. He doesn't want to be saved. He's an adult now, and he's a doctor, and he doesn't want to be part of his parents' life. So she has to convince him to come with her. And then once they're attacked, he kind of decides to agree. And she has to get him across London in 12 hours in the middle of the night without being spotted on CCTV. And there are 500,000 CCTV cameras in London. So it's almost impossible. And she knows it's almost impossible, but she has no choice but to try. So it's basically a race against spies.
A race against time. We've got spies getting assassinated, making it look like it's suicide. We have Emma on the case trying to save the reluctant Michael, aka Mikhail, the son of MI6's one of their most valuable assets, his mother, who was a Russian rocket scientist. We have so much to talk about, Ava. I can't wait to get into every delicious detail. But first, I just want to welcome everyone who is watching with us live today. Thanks for the love on Facebook, you guys. So we are broadcasting live to 6 different destinations. No matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. And every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So James Patterson has anointed you as anointed Emma Makepeace as the next Bond. I mean, we got so much delicious details to dive into. So if you've been here before, you know how it works. We're going to talk about all the stuff. We're going to spill the tea, as the cool kids say. And if you have any questions or comments, get them going in the comment section, because this is your time to talk to this incredible author. Marcy, just off the book. Marcy, welcome to the conversation. She says, hi from Hull, Massachusetts. This sounds so good. Marcy, it's so good. I love me some espionage. Chelsea, welcome to the conversation, saying hello, everyone. So good to have you here. Lynn saying hi from Philadelphia. Yay, Philly in the house. I'm a Philly girl. Welcome, Lynn. Donna says hello, and she loved Alias Emma. Donna, tell us what you loved about this book, because I know what I love, but I want to know what you love. Andrea, welcome to the conversation, saying greetings from Dallas. This book sounds amazing. Oh my gosh, Andrea, it's so good. You're going to love it. I love espionage, and if you do too, let us know. So Ava, you used to work as a civil servant, and you know a thing or two about spies. Give us the scoop. Spill the tea, girl.
Well, I did work for several years with the British department, the government department that oversees security and counterterrorism. My job at the time was as a communications consultant. So basically, I was supposed to convince spies to communicate with the public. This was incredibly unpopular with the actual spies. And it was it was the worst thing I could do to them, because talking to the public is the last thing they want to do. So in the end, it was a series of negotiations, and it meant they had to get to trust me and I had to get to know them, which meant that I got just this tiny window into their world. I myself not being a spy, and I don't think they trust anybody who's not a spy. Excuse me. So it was tricky, and it was fascinating. And the spies I met just were the most ordinary looking people, and there was nothing ordinary about them. And I think that just stayed in my mind all these years, that their jobs were so dangerous and so difficult, and that I just wanted to imagine the bits of their lives that they could not really tell me about. And that sort of inspired Alias Emma.
Wow. I love that you said the spies that I met were some of the most ordinary looking people because early on in the beginning of the book, Emma is meeting with her handler, and she notes in her internal monologue that he is such an ordinary looking guy. He's just wearing a nondescript suit. He's wearing nice shoes, but they're not so nice that you'd be like, ooh, the Ferragamos, the Versace, they're not even highly polished, and that he's such an ordinary looking person that if you passed him on the street and 5 minutes later someone asked you to describe him, you'd be hard pressed to remember anything about him. And that he had, when she was, being brought in as a spy, had told her that a spy's most valuable, best thing they could do is to blend. I was fascinated by that. I actually underlined that. So it's so fascinating to me that's actually something that you learned in your real life work with actual real life spies.
Yes, if you think about it, it makes such good sense. Because if somebody who looked like James Bond walks into the room, everybody's going to look at him. But they need to walk into the room and not be noticed. They need to fit in wherever they are. So that is the bit. They need to be invisible when they need to be invisible. And somebody who's stunningly gorgeous in the most expensive suit, every head's going to turn. You're going to watch his every move. So that was my theory about why they looked like anybody you might pass on the street.
That is fascinating to me because I don't think I've ever met a real life spy, so I'm intrigued. Donna says she needs a sequel, Ava. So let's start there. Is there a sequel? Will Emma Makepeace be joining us again?
There is a sequel. I'm very happy to tell you. It's been written. My editors have it, and we're really excited about it. So yes, book 2 is coming. It's coming this time next year. So I can't wait for everybody to read it.
Yay, that's fantastic. Okay, done. Ask and you shall receive. There we go. Proof. Andrea is saying, I love espionage. Ooh, cool question. Ava, have you ever considered being a spy?
Okay, I can honestly say I think I'd be a terrible spy. And I think I kind of would have until I actually met spies and saw just how good they are at deception. Because one thing that really stuck with me in those years and after those years is that nobody was who I thought they were. So the names that they gave me, the names in their email accounts were not their real names. And honestly, it took me months to figure this out. I'm so gullible. And the people I met were probably most of the time not telling me the truth about what they did. They had a job that they were assigned for their public persona, and that's the job that I would get. It was everything, nothing was real in their world. It's like trying to walk, you think you're walking on a hard floor and you're walking on water all the time. Everything is a deception. And it's not intended cruelly. It is simply to protect themselves, to protect their lives. Everything has to be, nothing can be true. Some of it is true. A little bit of it is true, but there's so much deception that you never really know what is true. It is such a world of smoke and mirrors. I don't think I could do that. For one thing, I am the world's most honest person, and I everything is on my face. I've discovered I have no ability to deceive, and I think they probably knew right away that that I wasn't material for that.
They were like, next. My
Yeah.
husband always says I have no poker face. If I think it's coming out. And I can't imagine the pressure of being a spy, of constantly having to deceive everyone around you, of never getting to be your true self. I wonder, I mean, that must really mess with your psyche in a way that I don't know if you ever fully recover from. And also, I mean, the thing I've always wondered about spies is if you're living a life that's constantly in danger, where you may not make it to see the next day, the next week, you're only alive because you trust your handler. Your handler is trusting the person above them. It goes right up the ranks. But if anyone is compromised along that rank, it could literally be your life. I mean, how do they sleep at night? That's something I've always wondered. Or do they ever sleep?
Well, indeed. I got very close to one particular person who worked there. He was my contact, if you will. If I needed something from them, I couldn't walk into their office. Nobody can. But I could call him and he would come get me and he could take me into the office. Like, it's that level of security. And mind you, I was security cleared to the eyeballs. They knew everything about me, and still I couldn't just walk into their office. But so I got quite close to him, and he told me that his wife didn't know that he was a spy, and he loved her more than anything in the world. I genuinely believe that. But he'd been lying to her for 15 years. She thought he worked in a completely different government office. And that really blew my mind, because it obviously did bother him that he couldn't tell her the truth. But he said if he did, he was afraid once he started, then he would say too much and it might put her into danger. So that's the level of security and fear and deception that you're looking at. So yeah, it's a very, very strange world.
Right, because if he tells her something, then she's in danger of being kidnapped and having it tortured out of her or something. And so he has to do it to protect his wife and protect himself and their children, or if they have kids. But I mean, just the idea of being in a marriage and having your spouse have no idea that you have this secret life, I mean, that must feel icky or deceitful, or I don't know. It would be a tough job. It would be a tough
I
job
think
for me.
yeah, more than anything, him telling me that made me think, okay, this is something I would never want to do. And also, but I admired him in a way, because he did it even though it obviously he was conflicted over it, and he knew this was a danger to his marriage, probably, that if she found out he'd been lying to her about his job for 15 years and he had this incredibly dangerous, incredibly important job, then she would, I don't know what he didn't know how she would have taken it. So yeah, you can see the levels and the kind of person you have to be able to do that, to the necessity of doing that. And it's fascinating. It's just completely fascinating to me. There are thousands of spies in London, thousands in Washington, D.C., in New York. You probably have met one at some point. There are far more than you know.
Yeah. And I remember a couple, I mean, this was probably 20 years ago, but I remember that in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where Harvard University is or MIT is, that this couple was arrested for being one of the most undercover, successful undercover Russian spies. And they had been living amongst us, going to their, their jobs, their everyday jobs, which was their cover. And when they were arrested, everyone in the neighborhood was shocked, and they were like, not Paul and Mary, they're the best couple ever. And it was so shocking that Paul and Mary were serious undercover Russian spies. And so I think about that all the time as I walk through my neighborhood. Like, who am I passing as a spy?
Exactly. It's really weird. And if you ever do work with them, it does get in your head. I mean, it really does. Like, you become, reality becomes a little unreal. And okay, I can tell you a story. When I first started working for the government, I'd been there about 6 weeks. And because I was born in the United States, but I've lived in Britain a long time, I'm suspicious to spies because I lived in more than one country. And so they did a big background check on me when I first started working with them, and I passed, obviously, because I'm a good person. And but afterwards, I still wasn't allowed to meet anybody. I wasn't given my job. It didn't start. And I kept asking why. And nobody could tell me. They just said, we're waiting for some paperwork. We're waiting for some things. And during that time, I was introduced to this young woman who's about my age, dressed very similarly to me, terribly nice, who just, we would go have coffee and we would go have lunch. And she was friendly and very interested in my background and asked loads of questions about my family and where I grew up and what did my brothers do and what about my parents and my uncle. Oh, really? That's so interesting. And then after a few weeks, she disappeared. And her name disappeared from the email system, which does not happen. It was as if she never existed. And I realized it was a background check. That was my background check. And after that, I went to work. Work began.
Oh my God. I thought you were going to tell me she was, a Russian spy trying to recruit you or something. I was terrified for 1 second.
I know. Crazy. Well, it's entirely possible she was testing to see if I was gullible enough for a Russian to... I don't know. I don't know. It's all so weird.
We'll never know because you don't even really know who she was. Oh my God. Well, I am here for it. I am loving this inside scoop on the real world of spies, the story behind Alias Emma. And Alias Emma is racking up all of the praise as well. #1 New York Times bestselling author Lisa Gardner raves it is totally addictive. She says Alias Emma is that perfect perfect combination of exciting new character, explosive action scenes, and a thrilling cat and mouse chase through the streets of London. Once you start reading, you won't stop. Congratulations on that rave review. So, Ava, what do you think the secret is, besides all of this fabulous background you have on what spies are like IRL in real life? But what do you think the secret is from a craft perspective to writing a, quote, thrilling cat and mouse game chase kind of book? How do you keep that pace going? How do you keep New York Times bestselling author Lisa Gardner up all night? Give us the scoop.
Well, okay. I will say page turning is my own obsession as a reader. I love one of those books you can't put down. They're my favorite kinds. When I get my hands on one, I'm so happy. And so as a writer, it's always my goal to make things go quickly. And I would say I do it my way is not the only way. Everybody has a trick. Everybody has their own style of doing it. But the way I do it is to write a first draft and then to go through that first draft and just look for places to cut and look for areas that are the most exciting scenes, make those a little longer, the most boring scenes, make those a little shorter, or get rid of them altogether. And I read it like a reader. And my editors are both, I have an American editor and a UK editor who work together, and they are geniuses. And so they know my obsession with pace. They know this is my big thing, especially with this book, because it's a race. And so it needed to be incredibly fast. I knew that from the beginning. The first draft was 70,000 words, which is way too short, but it was just the bones of it. And then I could go back and look for ways to make it even faster. And a lot of it, actually, some of the trick is where you end the chapters and how you always end a chapter in a place that makes you as a writer want to write more and makes the reader want to read more. That's one of my favorite little tricks, is don't end it when everything ends, when the scene ends and everybody's satisfied. End before then. And then that, as a writer, that can mean that the person turns the next page and opens the next chapter. And that's always my goal. I want you to read the whole book.
Yes, and we are reading the whole book. Thank you for this inside peek into your process and into, what you think makes, the secret to a page turning book. Because I think it's an interesting thing to think about. I mean, you're over there writing, and then, a year and a half, 2 years later, people are reading, and it's like, what is going to pull them into that world? Marcy's saying this is such great process advice. Totally agree. Eva, this is not your first book, but this is your first adult book. You're transitioning from YA. What have you learned along the way? Has anything served you? Has anything been shocking? Has you had to change anything? Give us the scoop on that.
Well, I'd say actually the page turnery thing, in a way, that sort of started in YA, because I'll tell you what, young people do not have any patience for a slow plot. They don't have patience for a moment of too much backstory. I mean, that gets you a boring immediately. And so you find yourself like kind of trying to cut all that out. And with adult, you can get much more of that in. So I'm very happy to be able to have my backstory. There's a bit of backstory in Alias Emma, so you can just see why she became a spy and how she became a spy. But even that, my instinct is always, well, let's set that up as an interesting scene. Let's not just tell them. Let's show them how she trained. Let's show them what happened to her father and how she became obsessed with becoming a spy and that sort of thing. And so I suppose the kids, they taught me a lot about speeding things up and keeping the pace going. So I owe them a debt, I must say. Otherwise, I would say one lovely thing about writing for adults is that all the rules are gone. There's no rules. With writing for young people, there are a lot of rules, and they are there for a very good reason. And I knew them and tried to abide by them most of the time. But with adult fiction, you can go crazy. There are no rules. It's about, what do you want to do? What do you want to write? There's freedom that you don't have quite as much of in YA. So I am reveling in it.
Yay. Well, a reveling Ava Glass is our favorite kind of Ava Glass. Lynn is saying she loves a book with pacing that keeps us readers moving. Exactly. Lynn, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, especially during the pandemic, I noticed my attention span has shrunk to the size of a gnat. Am I a young adult in an adult body? Perhaps. But my attention span has shrunk, and And I too love those fast-paced books that keep it moving. Ava, you're also earning incredible praise from greats such as Lisa Jewell, who has called this a thrilling read with a brilliantly likable protagonist. And let's take I'm going to pop this up on the screen. Nonstop, heart-pumping action and multiple twists and turns. So let's talk about that. Lisa Jewell's, I'm going to pop that up right here. So let's talk about that. What do you think the key is to making us like a protagonist? I know there's a lot of talk about this, and some people say, oh, you don't have to make like there's too much pressure on making a woman or any protagonist likable. You don't have to do that. I'm going to say, I think you do have to make them likable. If I don't like the protagonist, I ain't reading it. So tell us how you make her likable. How do you make us care about her?
I have to say, I do agree with you about the likability. I find it so hard to read books where I don't have a hero. I just need a hero. And there don't have to be 50 heroes. I just need one person that I want to win. I want that person to win. And then I'll keep going. I don't know what it is, especially lately. I think more than ever, I need someone to care about. And so I suppose to make people like a character, I think all you have to do is make the character human, because I don't think people are inherently awful most of the time. I think even people who sometimes seem awful love their kids, and love their mums. And so you can just include that fact. I mean, I like all my villains to have humanity so that you can see, yeah, he's completely wrong. He's an absolute, monster, but also, he loves his wife. He's really good at golf. Like, I try to give them something that is human, that makes them three-dimensional. And with main characters, I suppose I love them. I have to love my main character. I love Emma Makepeace. I adore her. I want her to win. I think she's flawed and she's imperfect, but she's so smart and she's so funny and she's so capable. And that's what I needed. I need that much. And then she can make mistakes. Then she can get hurt. Then she can do something wrong. And we forgive her. I forgive her because I think, oh, she's learning. She's 27 years old when this book starts. She's, she's still a baby spy in a way. And let's give her time. So I suppose that's it. I love her. And then maybe because I love her, you love her.
Yes, exactly. And I think making a likable protagonist doesn't mean making a perfect protagonist. Nobody can connect with a perfect person, but they have to have something that gets us cheering for them. At least I do. I need to be rooting for them. If everybody's evil or whatever, then that's, just personally not the book for me. And if she's flawed, that's okay, but I have to be cheering for her. I have to be like, come on, Emma, you can do it. Yes. You guys, the book is out tomorrow. This is a special pre-launch event. Ava's coming on live from London. I accidentally dropped mine. They give us a scoop on Alias Emma. I just bent down to pick it up. So here, pre-order here. I dropped the link in the comments. So grab your copy here. Support our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, Murder by the Book. Click, 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 order. And then you too can immerse yourself in the world of Alias Emma. Yay. So here's the links, no matter where your watch no matter where you watch from, here it is. And Donna is saying, I ship Emma and the Doctor. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm understanding that comment. Donna, let me know. Maybe there was a little tiny typo in there.
I know what she means.
Oh, okay. Tell us. Is this spy talk?
Does she mean Emma and the Doctor, not Ava and the Doctor? So Emma in the book is rescuing Michael Primilov, who is a doctor. Yes. And so,
yes.
And there's a frisson between them. There's a little something in the air. Each kind of admires the other, but it's, I don't know. It seems like an impossible love, perhaps. I don't know. We shall see. I don't want to give anything away. Maybe it's possible.
Yes. Donna's saying yes, Michael. Exactly. Okay, so Michael, the son of the asset, the MI6 asset, his mom being the Russian protected Russian source. He's a pediatric doctor. He treats children, and Emma's way of getting to him is to feign an injury, and knowing that his heart cares about healing people, he's going to pull over from his run and come to her aid, and that's how she's going to try to help help him help her by protecting him and saving his life, which is
Yes.
it's a really cute meet cute, where she's pretending to be a jogger. Very cute. Lynn saying this needs to be moved up on the TBR list. I need a few extra days in the week to dent that list. Lynn, dent that list because you're gonna love this. I am thoroughly enthralled. So go ahead and grab it. Oh, Marion, welcome to the conversation. Saying just ordered. She will begin it tomorrow. It sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. That's amazing.
Yay, Marion. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody, we have 5 minutes left. So any last questions for Ava, let me know. Meanwhile, I want to share just some of these others amazing reviews. Christina Alger, the New York Times bestselling author of The Banker's Wife, says that Alias Emma, quote, blew her away. Congratulations on that. Let's pop it up and take a look. She said it is a taut, propulsive thriller with a terrific female protagonist, a classic spy novel for a modern audience. This is the makings of a first-rate series. Congratulations on that amazing review. And we're thrilled to learn that it is going to be a series. Yay. Okay, Lynn wants to know, what made you move to the UK? Yes, indeed, Ava. What drew you there?
It's actually so typical because I was quite young and I'd been doing some work as a writer. I was a journalist and I'd been doing some work for a British publication just as a freelance writer. And they offered me a job in London. The same week I broke up with my longtime boyfriend. And so I was in that mood where, fine, I'm just going to throw everything away and I'm going to move to London. It's the most terrifying thing I've ever done. I didn't know anybody. And I just did it to just because I was young, and it's what you do when you're young and angry and foolish. And I moved to London and it was amazing. So the job was great. I ended up never left. And that was a really long time ago.
Yay. What a great story. So the pain of the breakup gave you the courage to change your life in a way that ended up being the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Another amazing review that I have to squeeze in here, James Patterson raving that Alias Emma is one of those wonderful thrillers that you read in a day and you know you'll remember for years. High praise there. Ava, congratulations.
I will never forget the email when my editor sent me the email with that in it. It was one of the first quotes we ever got. And we'd been waiting and waiting. You never know if you're going to get any quotes. And she sent it to me and she didn't tell me who it was. It had that quote and it said, "Best Jim." And then I read Jim. I was like, who's Jim? And then I realized, because it was in the little email above it, I lost my mind.
Yeah. So what did you do? Did you scream? Did you cry? Did you go out and buy a bottle of champagne? How did you celebrate?
I ran upstairs to my husband and I said, and I sent it to him, and I knew he wouldn't know either. He wouldn't see right away who it was. And I just said, "Jim is James bloody Patterson." Oh my God.
Your new best friend, Jim. I feel like you should get his blurb on a bracelet and send him, his half of the BFF bracelet. You and Jim can be BFFs. I love it.
Tattoo. I'm gonna have it tattooed.
I would have it tattooed. He and Jim is not the only one. Catherine Croft raving Alias Emma is one thrill of a ride, action-packed and fast-paced. I was riding shotgun alongside Emma and I lapped up every spectacular twist and turn not to be missed. One last question about your process. Speaking of these twists and turns, are you a plotter? Are you a pantser, a plancer, plunger? What are you? How do you do those twists and turns, Ava?
I started out as a pantser, but for something like espionage, I have become a plotter. I think there are so many strands and so many turns. It's too easy to lose people. So I plotted this one out chapter by chapter, just a paragraph for each chapter, until I had an idea. I had the story. I could see the where the story would go. And before I started writing, I just needed to know how I was going to get there. And then, I changed things as I went along, but not much, because it's quite twisty and the journey has to be quite specific. It has to make sense. And so I didn't dare change it. So I'm a bit of a convert now. Now I'm a plotter.
Interesting. Okay. I feel like I don't meet many converts. I get sort of one or the other. So I just want to say that this book, this book has earned starred reviews from Booklist, raving nonstop, superbly choreographed, a great thriller, gives us a superb multidimensional protagonist whom readers want to engage and will be eager to follow anywhere. This also got a starred review from the Library Journal, who raved perfect for a single sitting read. Glass's thriller is an adrenaline-fueled tour of clandestine London. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. An adrenaline-fueled tour of clandestine London. Hashtag goals. I tattoo that as well, Ava. Just start putting them on your body.
So many tattoos.
So many tattoos, but so worth it.
Yes.
Marcy's saying she has to jump, but she just added this to her TBR. It sounds incredible. Marcy, I think you'll really enjoy it. I know I am. Ava, thank you so much for coming on. Again, I want to end with this one. Emma Makepeace is, I'm going to pop this up from Ava's best friend, Jim. Emma Makepeace is an heir worthy to the James Bond mantle. I mean, hashtag goals there, Ava. Congratulations on all of this amazing praise, which your book has earned. Y'all, I just want to remind you, the book is out tomorrow. So pre-order it now. Here's the description. And I'm going to post that buy link one more time. So grab it, order it. You will love it as much as I do. And Ava, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for giving us the inside scoop on all things Emma Makepeace, your process, your practice, your craft has been, and your real life experience with spies. This has been absolutely fascinating.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute joy.
Yay! Y'all, Alias Emma out tomorrow in the US. Here is that link. Grab it and order it. And I will see you next Monday for hashtag Mystery Monday, because you know Mondays can be murder. Have a great day.